recipe is going to be the classic apple pie dish. Now, I don't think there's probably any other dish that can be a better way of showing someone you love them as making an apple pie. Something very kind of soothing and loving about it. So, I'm going to show you how to make one. For that, we're going to need some Bramley apples. They're the best for making apple pie, I think. So they're cooking apples, not eating apples. We're going to need a pie dish. Now, this recipe is for quite a big pie. My dish is about 22 centimetres in diameter. So it'll probably serve about maybe 6 to 8 people, depending on how big your slices are. Okay, so the first stage of making the pie is to make the sweet pastry. Now, I'm going to use my Maggi mix here, my blender, because it makes making pastry very easy. If you don't have one though, that's not a problem. Just get yourself a big bowl and you're going to just do it all with your fingers, okay? So I've got 350 grams of plain flour. That's about 3 cups worth going in. Okay, and I've got 225 grams of very cold unsalted butter, which I've just cut into chunks. And whenever you do anything with pastry, always use very cold butter. Okay, just a little tip. Otherwise, basically, it'll be hard to roll out later and it won't cook properly. So I'm just putting all the butter in there. Now I'm going to use 50 grams of caster sugar because it's going to be a sweet pastry. Okay, I don't know what that is in a cup. See, I'm measuring as I'm going along. I think that looks like about a fifth of a cup. Right, there you go. Because I know I have a lot of American subscribers and you use cups, which is great because I love cups. Okay, now what we're going to do, cup measuring is very easy. All I'm going to do is I'm going to pulse it until it kind of forms fine breadcrumbs. So if you don't have the blender, basically rub it in with your fingertips until you get fine breadcrumbs. Okay? Once it forms fine breadcrumbs, we're going to add the eggs in. So I'm using 2 eggs in total, but actually in the pastry I'm only putting 1 whole egg and 1 egg yolk. So plop your egg in. And now you need to separate the next one. So you just want to basically put the egg yolk in to the pie. Oh, into the pastry. Hello, doggy. It's not for you. Oh, she really goes crazy when I start cooking, you know. Okay, so 1 egg yolk's going in there. And then basically we're going to keep pulsing it until it starts forming a ball, sorry. Okay, so when it starts going like big lumps like that, you can start bringing it together with your hand. And you can see how now it's kind of like, it's got into that kind of texture, which is basically pastry. Okay, so you just want to get your pastry, squish it all into a ball, and then basically we're going to wrap it in cling film and leave it in the fridge to chill for a bit. To chill out. Alright, so now I've peeled and chopped all my apples. I've chopped them into kind of quite smallish cubes. And what we're going to do is we're going to coat them in a bit of a mixture and literally pop them into the pie. We're not going to cook them first because they're going to cook whilst they're in the oven. So I've got 150 grams of caster sugar, which is going into another big bowl. That's about 3/4 of a cup. I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Okay. 1 nice big teaspoon of cinnamon, because I like it quite cinnamony. I don't know if that's a word. Right, and then we're going to put in 2 big tablespoons of just plain flour in there as well. And the flour basically helps all the juices kind of go a bit thicker so that it's not too runny inside. Right, so just give that all a mix together. All the apples into the big bowl and then give them a mix around in there. Okay, so that they're coated in all this kind of mixture. So there we go. Coat all the apples. Smells so good already. Okay, so I've got my pastry out of the fridge. It's been in there for about half an hour and it's quite kind of firm. It's a lot firmer now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my ball. I'm going to cut about 1/3 off it because we're going to use the 2/3 of it for the base and then 1/3 of it for... It's not for you, oh dear. 1/3 of it for the topping. Dog is going crazy. But whilst you're making the base, you can put that little bit of pastry back in the fridge. Now to start with, just kind of get it into maybe a roundish ball shape. Lightly flour your work surface. Get some flour on the rolling pin as well. And I'm just going to start to roll it out. Kind of gently but firmly, if you know what I mean. You don't want to squish it, you don't want to roll it so hard so it sticks to your work surface. Now the best way, I think, to get pastry off the table is, if you can see, kind of fold the edges onto the rolling pin. And then roll it round and lift it up. Okay. Now then, so you've got it now, you can put it into your pastry dish. Into your pie dish, not pastry dish. Okay. Tuck it in there. We're just going to trim the edges to about there. Leaving a little bit still, it doesn't have to be, we're going to leave a little bit because we're going to pinch the top and the bottom bit together. So now you've got your base. What we're going to do is we're going to tip your apples and all the mixture in. Okay. If you can see it that way. Pour it all in. Ooh. Man, this is looking good. Smelling good, looking good. Ooh. Okay. Right, we're at that stage now. Ooh. Exciting. Make sure it's floured. That's floured. Okay. Gentle kind of roll. Oh la la. This is looking good. Okay, okay. Right. The moment of truth. I'm joking. Let's put the top on. You rolled it out, it's big enough. I'm going to move it around a little bit. Make sure there's no kind of gaps. With the remainder egg yolk that you saved, remember to save it, we're going to basically brush the edges to seal them. So I'm going to whisk it up a bit first. You just trim the edges off and you pinch it together with your fingers to seal it. And I have also cut some slits through the pastry, so it basically acts as like an air vent. So when all the apples start cooking and giving off steam, the steam's got somewhere to evaporate or escape. Otherwise, it will come out through the edges. So that's very important. Now, with some leftover pastry, I am going to make some fancy little leaves. If you've got a leaf-shaped cutter, then do that. If you don't worry. So you cut a little shape like that, and then you go like that, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and there we got a little leaf. Last thing is I'm going to brush the top of the pie all over with the egg whites, and this is going to help it kind of go brown in the oven. Stick the leaves on. We're going to get some caster sugar. I'm going to sprinkle it all on the top. Just a little sprinkle, not too much. Enough. And ta-da! Now it goes in the oven for it's about 45 minutes. Okay. So here we have it, fresh from the oven, a steaming hot apple pie. I mean, who could resist? Really? If you turned up with one of these, whew, they'll be all yours, I'm telling you. So I hope you enjoyed that and stay tuned for some more recipes to come. Thank you for watching. Bye.